so now I'm going to move this Huskylock 936 back to serging mode, and so I just cut these threads out of the way of the needles, and I cut this thread again slightly past this guide here. I left that, it's still through this guide here. And first thing I'm going to do is remove the foot by just pushing that lever at the back. Lift this all the way up to make that freely come out of there. Then I'm going to remove this plastic piece, both of these plastic pieces. Then I'm going to remove the needles. Some people like to put something underneath there to prevent them from being dropped. I just hang on to them for a second. And then I've snug these set screws up a little. You don't want those to fall out. You loosen them. You don't, remove them. You loosen them and then just snug them up back again. Then I'm going to remove the needle plate that's marked what they see for cover stitch, and I'm going to put the one that's marked for S serging. Before I put the new one on, so I've removed the needle plate. Before I put that new one on, I'm going to move the looper. I'm going to change the looper setting, so I'm going to sink that needle and push that over. And so looper is down. It's gone from C to S. It's actually up. Now I'm going to move the stitch finger forward. Whatever, up, down, just move it to S for serging and C to S for cover stitch. So now I'm going to move the stitch finger forward. So you want to do those things before you actually put this S plate on, otherwise it won't go on. So now this will go right on. I had to move that stitch finger. I didn't want to go right on. Well, you have to move the stitch finger. Move the stitch finger, and then just make sure you put it back forward. And then now I can install this S plate. Next, I'm going to move the width to N. So just turn that clockwise until the little arrow is pointing there at N. Then I'm going to change to the serger table. Again, push that way. And then just rotate it toward you. Then I'm going to engage the blade, pushing and turning it. Pull the thread out of the way, I don't want that stuck in there. Then I'm going to put these plastic 3-arm piece back on. Then I'm going to thread the green looper. So I'm going to be using one needle. You could use both. You could put two, and you could put them in position C and D for serging, but I'm just going to use the right needle, so I'm not going to thread this path. So this is going to be my only needle thread, and now this here becomes, this here is going to become my upper looper. So I didn't have to pull it out of there, it's just easier. So now this thread's going to go down into the green guide. I'm going to zoom in here now so you can see these guides a little better. Try that. That's pretty good, hopefully. Focus in. Alright, so I've come to this guide here, and then from there I'm going to go over here to the top of these three, top of that triple there, marked with the green dot. Then I'm going to go down to this guide here. I'm trying to keep my hand out of the way and still do this operation. Then up to here, from there, there's one more little guide here that you want to get, and then you need to put this through the looper that you raised when you moved this lever to show good. I'm going to move it up a little so you can see it better. When you raise that, when you move that lever on the bottom from C to S, but then this came up, and it's the, you know, the two little bars, but it's that one on the bottom with the little hole in it is your upper looper for surging. So you want to, oh, it's kind of in the way with the light, but so fuzzy thread, but I got it through. And now this time, these want to get caught up. So you got caught up there, the thread got caught up there, so definitely watch for that. And pull this back to 10 o'clock. It got caught up there too. Alright, so now I'm going to double check that it didn't get caught up anywhere else. It's coming down through here, down the green guide to the top of the 3, goes down to here, up to this guide, and then out that looper and 10 o'clock. Alright, so the green path upper looper is threaded. Now I'm going to thread the purple looper, and so that's why I left the thread in this guide and this guide, because it's going to remain there for the serging. So now, but this time I'm going to go to the middle. So you had another one there, but you're going to just use this middle purple one. Then you're going to go. I put the thread here on this bottom of the 3. Now I'm going to go down to this one that's marked with a purple. Yeah, it kind of looks like a dark blue, but I don't know. I call it purple. I've got to get in here to do this. Get in here with my goggles. Hold on, I'm a little snug. Okay. Then from there, there's this guide here, right above it, slightly to the left, and about 1 inch above. So you can poke it through there. Then, this is what is really confusing. You're not going to use your Coverstitch looper. You're not going to use the pink-purple looper. You're going to use a hidden mystery looper. No, it's nothing. You're going to move the needle, you're going to move this, turn the hand wheel toward you until this is all the way, well, needle would be in the up position. We don't have the needle in yet. But that's going to move that far right, and then you're going to, there's a down arrow right here. So you push that down arrow, and if that doesn't budge, you know, sometimes these need some oil if they haven't been used. But when you push that down arrow, you see a guide here that's again marked with that solid purple color. This is to me the trickiest guide to get you there. It's flossing the tooth. You gotta have something pressure on both sides. All right, that wasn't too bad. And then from there, there's like a little threading hole that pops right up in front of that. Pops right up there in front of that looper, and so you're gonna pull it, thread it through there, and then this is why I don't put the foot of the needle on. It's just easier to do that last. Then you're gonna just come right up to 10 o'clock. So you got both those threads through 10 o'clock. Again, I'm gonna double check it. I went through my tension. It's poked in there good, flossed in there good. Through that guide, through the middle, to the bottom, up to the 1 inch above that. And then I pushed the arrow to get it through here, and then I push it through the double. It's like a double. You got to push it through a little round circle, and that threads it in right through there where you want it. All right, so now I am ready to install the needle, and it is, like I say, I'm going to just use one needle. You do this exactly the same. If you want 2 needle serging, there wouldn't be anything different. You would just add one more thread. You'd add a spool here, and you'd thread it just the way you did before. It's just then you'd put them under, you'd put needles in C and D, but I'm just going to put one in D. For some reason, I don't know if this is my imagination, but for some reason, it helps to loosen both those screws. This is the one I have the biggest trouble with. I'm finally kind of learning where that hole is. That's better than I've done in the past. And it seems like I'm putting it in left, and I'm like, well, I loosened C. Am I putting it in C by mistake? But I'm not. even it's because when I tighten C, D is still moving up and down. So I know I've got it in D. It just really feels left leaning to me, but it's in the correct spot there. So that's the trickiest thing I have. You can to do with I've struggled with this. If you need to tip the machine back and look underneath to see where that hole is to put that needle in there, that won't hurt a thing. That's what I did when I was kind of getting the muscle memory to do that. Then you want to. I lifted that. I put the foot down to give myself a little more room there to play in there, and so then you want to, before you pull that through, you want to lift that foot back up for threading. Since there's only one, it can go on right or left. Go through that guide, go through that guide, go through this guide, get a nice tip, raise it up so you can really see it, thread it, piece of cake with my nice Optivisor goggles, and oh, okay. I was like, I always give that a little tug. This happened to me before. The thread got stuck on that screw. I also want to give it a little tug. That could have broken a needle or something. Give it a little tug. Make sure it's free flowing. If you're, as long as your presser foot's up, and that's a reasonable tension there. There was no reason for it to be tugging like that. So I was like, oh, what's going on? A thread delivery, critical. You make sure everything's spooling off nice, not tangled. Do that, before you stitch, and then you'll save yourself the grief of a fouled up rat's nest and having to start over. So I just take my time and make sure everything's set up correctly and threaded correctly the first time, ideally. So then I'm going to put this foot on, and I'm going to get these threads moved to the back so it's not in the way, so I don't get caught in there. Then push that down, and when I know it's on correctly, then I will move these threads back up to 10 o'clock. Alright, we're almost there. The last thing to do is to power on the machine. And again, this computer control here only controls the stitch length and the speed. So unless you need to change those things, you don't need to do anything, but it likes to touch the A for automatic button. And you're just manually changing your tension. In this case, the recommended tension to start out for serging is N3N. So start there, see how it goes, and you can of course always adjust it later. Looks like she's serging beautifully. That's all there is to it. Converting the Husky 936.